This DBI's Brother Panther. I've got a database here I've been monitoring. I'm going to do a response time analysis for this database, and what I see here is for the last 8 hours, not much going on. I actually want to look at the entire week, so I'm going to look at the performance of this database for the week, and I've got a 1/4 second response time. 85% of that time is inside the database, and the database is a little bit more I/O bound than CPU bound. I'm going to click on that I/O pie slice, and Brother Panther just did the analysis to find the statements that are causing that database to be I/O bound. So right there, I've got about 2/3 of all the I/O in the database tied up in these 4 statements. I can pass those as a workload to the design advisor and apply DBI's advanced index benefit analysis methodology. So here's an I/O bound database, 2/3 of all the I/O in 4 statements. We're waiting for the answer here. Do-dee-doo-dee-doo-dee-doo. Oh, outstanding. And we can see we're going to get from 374,000 time runs down to 116 for a 99% improvement. Here's the indexes that we have the opportunity to create, and we can see the benefit of each of these indexes. If we add this first index, we'll get 49% of that savings. If we add this second index, we get 46% of that savings. And if we add this third index, well, that's not a very big contributor to all that savings. So I take these first 2, that's the bulk of my savings, click on create. There they are in my editor. I'm ready to go. And just like that, in about a minute, I just took 2/3 of the I/O out of an I/O bound database. Isn't that easy? Yes, it is. Well,
glad to be here on the show.
Thank you for your willingness to share a little bit of knowledge with the DB2 community on DB2's Got Talent. Now, you're our first contestant this year. Do you have any questions for us before we begin? Is everything?
No, Scott. I'm good, thank you.
Everything's pretty good by you? Okay, I got to find my iPhone because it's got the famous duck on it. This is exciting. Clock and timer and 7 minutes. And let's see, Nadir, before I say go, what are you going to talk about today? Let's see.
Sure, Scott. I'll discuss a couple of scripting challenges which are overcome at a customer site by using the power of SQL, give a couple of examples, and also discuss a handy tool for doing benchmarks which can be useful during database upgrades.
Okay, well, now here's what we're going to do. We're going to start. On your mark, get set, go. Welcome, Nadir.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My first example would be a SQL to generate report for database log archival duration. And when you are either archiving the logs to disk or an external vendor like EMC or even IBM's TSM, you see these sample messages in the db2diag.log where the archive commences and after some time it completes. Now, when you face delays due to some bottleneck, okay, maybe in your virtual tape pool or from the external vendor, then you need to parse through these various messages and get the difference of times. And as many of you know, the db2diag.log can get very flooded quickly, especially on a large system with a heavy workload. So trying to get a time difference of how long an average log is taking to archive can be quite a challenge. Now, we often use the sys IBM ADM.DB_history admin view, but unfortunately, the start time and end times recorded in the view for log files are not accurate. The reason being, the start time is the time when the log was allocated and not when the archiving just commenced. So you have no choice but to use the db2diag.log to get a difference of archival times. So we can take advantage of a nice table function, the pd get diag hist, to drill down on the various log messages. So it treats each paragraph in the db2diag.log as a record, and a good way to parse it is use a locate function to find a string like started archive for log file or the completed archive for the log file and note the position. So for DB2 we have a fixed position there, 335, and I want to advance 53 more characters from there to get the complete message. So you could select the timestamp, the portion of that message from the db2diag.log file, and give some filter criteria to just get the records of interest. So here, for example, we give an edu name of db2 log manager and the function for archive log file. And a sample report is like this. This is ordered in descending order, so the most recent entries at the top. And you can see the log archive duration is under 1 minute, which is not good, which is not bad. But sometimes when you get a bottleneck, one log could even take 15 or 20 minutes, and then you know you have a problem. Okay, when your logger starts getting full, DB2 kind of freezes, applications tend to hang, okay, doesn't look good. Now, if you're running DB2 10.5, you have a couple of more parameters in the sample db2diag.log messages. After the node, you will have a database name parameter and a host name parameter in 10.5. So if you're running a cluster like HACMP, you could know the active host name in the corresponding db2diag.log message, and you can even pull that up if you're interested using the pd get diag hist function. So this is one example I felt to be a nice one, where instead of using complex parsing with db2pd, or alternatively with awk and sed utilities, you get the report very quickly. Another example is if you're interested in a database backup report. Okay, for a DPF, trying to get a cumulative summary report for a large environment can be a little tricky. DB2 provides you a nice table function where you can query the information from db2nodes.cfg and get that very conveniently. Okay, this is again another similar example where you can use the power of SQL to help you out. And there are some odd nuances with the sys-IBM ADM DB history view. Okay, the times, the start time, end times are strings instead of a timestamp. So again, you have some manual parsing there. Okay, you have some nice flags to help you out, like if you're doing a full database backup and if you're doing an online backup. Okay, and you can query some helpful fields in the view like SQL code and SQL C aid to indicate success, and then more details for the SQL error and other such fields. This is a sample SQL for you to get the requested information from the backup. Like you're selecting the partition number, and then I'm getting the respective server names from the db2nodes.cfg. And if they're fully qualified by the domain name, I'm stripping the domain name out from that using the position function. So just get its partial server name. And then getting the details of the SQL error, if there's any. Now, if you're doing multiple sessions for a large database, then you would have a set of records. You wouldn't have a unique record. And you just have to be careful about that. So then you summarize by the partition num, you group by it and other fields, and then you can even order by that and get a nice handy report.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
To find time for Kaspersky to notify me that my license is expired. And there's our friend the duck. Are you about done? You getting?
Yes, thank you, Scott. If people are interested, they can request me for a copy of the slide deck.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And I'm going to have to uninstall that Kaspersky because that's annoying. Who needs antivirus protection anyways? Let me go to my judges for their comments and feedback. So we'll get a critique from each judge first, and then I'll go back to you for your voting on the scale of 1 to 10. So Martin, your comments please for Nadir.